Okay, picture this. You sit down, you're ready to get to work on that big project, you open the document, and what feels like 2 minutes later, you're checking your email, then a notification pops up, you grab your phone, and suddenly you're deep into a video feed scrolling endlessly. Sound familiar? Yeah, you are not alone. It feels like we are in a constant battle for our own attention, and honestly, it's a battle we seem to be losing. To really get what's going on here, we have to start with one single, really shocking number.
47 seconds. That's it. Let that sink in for a second. That number, that's what defines our modern attention span.
So, this number comes from research by Dr. Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvine. And what it means is that, on average, we can only focus on one screen for about 47 seconds before we switch to something else. It is a staggering drop, and it has happened unbelievably fast.
I mean, this timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? Back in 2004, we could manage about 2.5 minutes of solid focus. By 2012, that had already dropped to 75 seconds. And now, we're down to just 47. We have lost almost 2 full minutes of our ability to just concentrate in less than 20 years.
Now, before you start blaming yourself for being lazy or undisciplined, it is absolutely crucial to understand this is not just a personal failure. Our attention hasn't just, vanished into thin air. It's been systematically captured by a digital world that was deliberately designed to hook us.
That's a quote from Oz Raskin, a guy who actually helped invent some of the features we use every single day, like the infinite scroll. He calls it behavioral cocaine, and wow, that is a powerful way to describe how these platforms are engineered.
So how does this actually work? Well, every time you get a notification, a like, or see some wild new video, boom, your brain gets a tiny little hit of dopamine. That's the chemical tied to reward and motivation. And this creates a feedback loop. Your brain remembers that little jolt of pleasure and wants to repeat the action, which conditions us to constantly crave these instant little rewards. And running behind it all are these incredibly smart algorithms, constantly learning and predicting exactly what to show you next to keep you hooked.
What's crazy is that Nobel laureate Herbert Simon saw this coming decades ago. He said that a flood of information doesn't make us smarter, it actually creates a poverty of attention. It depletes our most valuable and most finite resource.
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we need to zoom in and look at the brain chemistry at the heart of it all, dopamine. And while a lot of us just think of it as the pleasure chemical, its actual role in our focus is, well, it's way more complex and honestly pretty surprising.
See, our brain has these two main circuits that control our behavior, and dopamine is pretty much the key that turns them both on. And these two systems, they're in a constant push and pull, a delicate balancing act for control over what you do next.
Think of it like this. You've got the motivational circuit. This is the impulsive, almost toddler-like part of your brain. It's driven by rewards and punishments. It's constantly screaming, "I want that," or "get away from that." But then you have the cognitive circuit. This is the planner, the adult in the room. It's responsible for holding a goal in mind and keeping you on task. Both are fueled by dopamine, just in very different ways.
And right here, this is the core of it all. This is the trade-off our brain is constantly forced to make. Dopamine creates this negotiation between cognitive stability, which is just staying focused, and cognitive flexibility, our ability to switch to a new task. The thing is, you can't have maximum focus and maximum flexibility at the exact same time.
So let's break down how this dopamine tug-of-war plays out. When you have high dopamine in your prefrontal cortex, that's your brain's planning center, you get stable, solid focus. You're locked in. But when dopamine is high in the striatum, which is a key part of the reward system, you become super flexible, ready to switch tasks at a moment's notice. Our modern digital world is constantly jacking up dopamine in our striatum, making us hyper-flexible, and as a result, highly distractible.
But wait, there's another really important layer to this whole thing. It's not just about us chasing rewards, it's also about avoiding threats. And that is where anxiety enters the picture.
So first, let's just get clear on what anxiety really is, because it's different from fear. Fear is your response to a clear and present danger. A bear is standing right in front of you. Anxiety, on the other hand, is that state of high alert for a potential, uncertain threat. It's the feeling that a bear might be somewhere out there in the woods. And our digital world keeps us in that bear-in-the-woods state pretty much 24/7.
So when you're anxious, your brain literally goes on high alert. It's an old evolutionary survival mechanism. Your senses get cranked up, you're primed to detect any tiny little change in your environment that could signal danger.
And here's the most important part. An anxious brain completely changes its priorities. Its new #1 job is to scan for threats.
This makes you incredibly sensitive to unexpected things, like the buzz of a notification or the ping of an email. Your brain treats these interruptions as potential threats that have to be investigated, and it yanks your focus away from what you were doing, automatically.
Okay, so we're fighting against these perfectly engineered dopamine loops, and a brain that's hardwired for anxious distraction. I know, it sounds a little bleak, but here's the good news. Understanding the system is the very first step to beating it. So now, we can talk about how to actually fight back.
This is really the fundamental question, isn't it? If the world we live in is literally built to steal our focus, how in the world can we possibly get it back for ourselves?
All right, first things first, you have to regain control of your schedule. Techniques like time blocking are designed specifically to stop that constant dopamine-draining switching between tasks. The Pomodoro technique is also great. It helps you rebuild your focus muscle in short 25-minute sprints. And most importantly, commit to doing one thing at a time. Seriously, trying to multitask is just asking your brain to fight a battle on two fronts at once. It always leads to more mistakes and more stress.
Okay, next up, and this is so important, you have to manage the basic health of your brain. Sleep is completely non-negotiable. That's when your brain cleans house and recharges for focused work. Exercise helps lower that background anxiety that keeps you on high alert. Eating well prevents the energy crashes that make your brain desperately seek out those easy dopamine hits. And finally, you have to actively train your attention. Consuming long-form content like books or documentaries, it's literally like taking your brain to the gym. It strengthens the very neural circuits that our digital world has made weak.
And finally, manage your surroundings. This stuff is so simple, but it makes a world of difference. Studies have shown that just seeing your phone on your desk, even if it's off, is enough to hurt your concentration. Put it in another room. Turn off every notification that isn't absolutely essential. Get rid of those constant anxiety-spiking interruptions. And when you really need to do deep work, find a space with as few distractions as possible. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Getting your focus back isn't just about being more productive. It's an act of rebellion. It's about consciously deciding what is actually important to you. In a world that literally profits from your distraction, choosing where you place your attention is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. So what will you choose?